Ever wonder how a single soldier could take out 43 tanks? It sounds like something out of a video game, right? But this is the real-life story of Garrett Holloway, a man whose unique skills turned an ordinary machine gun into a legendary tank killer. His story isn't just about courage, it's about precision, ingenuity, and how a craftsman's eye changed the battlefield forever. Before the war, Garrett Holloway wasn't a soldier. He was a master turner, a highly skilled artisan who worked with lathes. His life revolved around incredible precision, shaping metal with an accuracy measured in thousandths of an inch. He spent years honing his craft, developing an almost supernatural feel for how metal behaves under pressure. This deep understanding of material science and mechanics was his art. Little did he know, this very art would soon become his most powerful weapon. When war broke out, Garrett, like so many others, answered the call to duty. He was assigned to an M2 Browning machine gun crew. The M2, or Mardoos as the soldiers affectionately called it, is a legendary weapon in its own right. It's a heavy machine gun, firing massive 50 caliber rounds, known for its reliability and devastating power against infantry and light vehicles, but against the thick, sloped armor of German tanks like the Panzer and the Tiger. The M2 was generally considered a pipe shooter. Its standard rounds would just bounce off, leaving little more than a scratch. For most soldiers, engaging a tank with an M2 was a last, desperate resort in act of futility. But Garrett Holloway wasn't most soldiers. When his unit first encountered German armor, he watched as his comrades' machine gun fire ricocheted harmlessly off the steel beasts. He saw the frustration and the fear. But where others saw an impenetrable fortress, Garrett saw a machine. And as a master craftsman, he knew that every machine, no matter how strong, has a weak point. His mind, trained to think in terms of stress points and material tolerances, began analyzing the tanks, not as monsters, but as complex mechanical puzzles. He remembered his training with the M2 and a special type of ammunition, the M8 armor-piercing incendiary, or API. These weren't your standard bullets. The M8 round had a hardened tungsten carbide core, designed to punch through armor. Upon impact, the incendiary charge was meant to ignite, causing chaos inside the vehicle. However, even these powerful rounds had their limits. Firing them wildly at a tank's main armor was still a waste of time and ammunition. You had to hit the right spot, and that's where Garrett's genius came into play. Garrett began to study the German tanks with the same intensity he once reserved for a block of steel on his lathe. He observed their movements, their designs, and their vulnerabilities. He noticed that while the front armor was incredibly thick, other areas were much weaker. He identified critical components exposed on the exterior: vision slits, periscopes, engine vents, and the tracks. He theorized that a precisely aimed burst of M8 API rounds could cripple or destroy a tank, not by brute force, but by surgical precision. His first real test came during a fierce engagement. A German Panzer was advancing on their position, its cannon spitting death. Panic was setting in. While others sought cover, Garrett calmly set up his M2. His crew thought he was crazy. "You can't stop that thing with a 50, they yelled. Garrett didn't listen. He wasn't aiming for the main hull. His eyes were locked on a tiny target. The driver's vision slit. It was a sliver of an opening, barely visible from his position. He took a deep breath, his hands steady, his mind focused. He wasn't just pulling a trigger, he was making a precision cut. He squeezed off a short, controlled burst. The API round slammed into the vision slit. One of them punched through. Inside the tank, chaos erupted. The round ricocheted, and the incendiary component ignited fuel or ammunition. The mighty Panzer shuddered to a halt, smoke pouring from its hatches. Garrett's crew stared in disbelief. He had done the impossible. This was no lucky shot. It was the first of many. Garrett had developed a system. He knew that hitting the engine's air intake vents on the rear deck with incendiary rounds could start a fire that would suffocate the engine and crew. He knew that a well-aimed burst at the tank's tracks could immobilize it, turning it into a sitting duck for anti-tank teams. He became a master of what he called mechanical acupuncture, disabling the steel giants by targeting their nerve centers. His reputation grew. Garrett became a legend among his fellow soldiers. When the terrifying roar of an approaching Panzer was heard, men would look for Garrett Holloway. Imagine the sheer nerve it took to stand your ground with a multi-ton tank bearing down on you, cannon blazing, and to calmly wait for your shot. To ignore the massive, intimidating hull and focus on a target the size of a playing card. This was the intersection of a craftsman's precision and a soldier's courage. Garrett's hands, once skilled at shaping metal, were now deconstructing it on the battlefield. Throughout his service, Garrett Holloway was credited with destroying or disabling an astonishing 43 German tanks and armored vehicles. Let that sink in. 43, an entire armored company, taken out not by a tank destroyer or a bomber, but by one man and his machine gun. He achieved this incredible feat by applying the principles he learned in a quiet workshop to the chaos of war. He saw the battlefield through a different lens, turning a simple tool into a precision instrument of war. Garrett's story is a powerful reminder that innovation can come from the most unexpected places. It's a testament to the idea that the most effective weapon is often a well-trained mind. He wasn't just a soldier, he was a problem solver. He faced an insurmountable obstacle, and, instead of giving up, he analyzed it, understood it, and found its weakness. He redefined the role of the heavy machine gunner and saved countless lives in the process. After the war, Garrett Holloway returned home, not as a hero seeking fame, but as a craftsman who had done his duty. His story is one of the many incredible, yet often unsung, tales of ingenuity from that era. It shows that sometimes, the most extraordinary acts are performed by ordinary people who use their unique talents in extraordinary ways. Garrett Holloway, the master turner turned tank buster, proved that with enough skill, precision, and courage, one man really can make a difference. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as incredible as I did, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more amazing tales from history. We'll see you in the next one.